Welcome, creeps. You're listening to the Umbra Tapes, where we dive into unsolved mysteries, disturbing cases, and the downright weird. I'm Gabby.
And I'm Leah. Thanks for creeping in.
History has always had names for things we don't understand. Some cultures spoke of spirits. Others simply refused to name them at all. Yet across continents and across centuries, people have described encounters that sound disturbingly familiar. A figure watching from the tree line. A voice that shouldn't know your name. A person whose appearance feels wrong. A visitor who cannot enter your home unless you invite them. A shadow standing silently at the foot of your bed. These accounts don't come from one town, or a religion, or even century. They are separated by thousands of miles, yet they often follow the same patterns. Maybe that's coincidence, maybe that's psychology, or maybe humanity has been describing the same phenomenon all along. Folklore is such an interesting concept. I'm really excited.
Just thinking that folklore is like one of my favorite things to talk about because you really have to believe it. There's no proof. Like there's no proof at all. And it's like if you believe in it, you have to believe in it.
It's really just so often is it so embedded in cultures that it becomes a way of life for them.
Oh yeah.
Like down to the way they live in their homes, the way they eat their food, the way they dress.
I never thought about it like that, actually. But it's very true. It's very true.
It's like there's something like cosmic connecting us through fear.
Yeah.
Well, there's this place in America where stories refuse to die. It's Appalachia. Stretching from southern New York through Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. The Appalachian Mountains are among the oldest mountain range on Earth, millions of years older than the Rockies. These forests have had more than enough time to become isolated. Entire communities were separated by mountains, valleys, and dense forests. Families passed stories from one generation to the next, not through books, but by word of mouth. Long before highways connected these towns, folklore became a survival tool, a way of explaining danger, preserving history, and teaching children what to fear, often giving them a set of rules. Rule number 1, never go into the woods from dusk to dawn. Rule number 2, if you hear your name, know you didn't. Rule number 3, do not whistle or sing in the woods. Rule number 4, do not stare at the trees too long. But among the countless ghost stories and local legends, there is one belief that stands apart. Ask someone raised deep in Appalachia about what lives in the woods after dark, and you may notice something unusual. Many won't even answer directly. Some laugh it off. And a few will answer your question by using a single word, them. Not because everyone agrees on what them actually is. Quite the opposite. Them isn't a species, it isn't one monster, it's a catch-all name for anything in the woods that doesn't behave the way that nature should. To give something a proper name is to acknowledge it. Some believe that's exactly what these things want. Whether that's rooted in old superstition or simple caution, the result is the same. You don't call them by name. You don't go looking for them. And if you think you've seen one, no you didn't. Many of the stories begin the same way, not with an attack, not with glowing eyes in the darkness, but with silence. People familiar with the Appalachian wilderness know that forests are rarely quiet. Even in the middle of the night, the woods are alive with sound. Crickets chirp, cicadas drone, frogs call from nearby creeks, wind moves through the trees. Then, everything stops, not gradually, instantly. Witnesses describe it as though someone reached out and flipped a switch. Insects stop, the birds disappear, even the wind itself seems to vanish. Hunters, hikers, and campers often describe the silence as feeling almost physical, as though the forest is holding its breath. Then comes the voice. Sometimes it's a friend calling from somewhere deep in the trees. Sometimes it's a family member. A child crying for help. Someone desperately shouting your name. The problem? is that no one should be there. According to countless stories passed down through Appalachian communities, this is the moment you fail the test. Every instinct tells you to answer, to investigate, and to help. But the old warnings insist on the opposite. Don't answer, don't follow, because if the voices don't draw you in, something else might already be walking beside you.
No. Dude, if I heard like my voice or like my child's voice or something calling out to me, I don't even know what. I would just
I think your natural instinct is to look for said child, look for your child.
Exactly. That is so scary. Could you imagine just, Mommy, help me? And it's your baby's voice or your child's voice. And it's really not.
It's terrifying.
As many mountains as there is like in that area, I 100% believe this stuff.
Yeah, Appalachia is deeply, deeply rooted in folklore. I mean, these people, they live their lives in these woods. And I mean, it dates back to the Native Americans that once resided on the land and their traditions and folklore. And it's been passed down to the immigrants who moved here. It's often pretty scary stuff.
Yeah, I've heard some stories too. I don't remember in detail, but what I do remember was that they scared the shit out of me and they were extremely believable.
Did you know about the rules of Appalachia before I told you that?
No, but I do know that if it says your name, like you're hearing things.
You're hearing things?
Yeah, you're hearing them, but like it's not real. Yeah, like you're hearing what they want you to hear. It's not it's not really your child or really your, whoever is calling out to you that you might know.
It's like a deep question that I have. Like, okay, we're not going to name them, but what do they want?
Yeah, what do they want? Like, do you think that they're secretly... I've seen, like, in Game of Thrones where they, like, sacrifice the babies to, like, keep them away.
Like the White Walker?
Yes. Do you think it's something like that?
I don't know.
How would you know? There's so many people in the mountains.
It, like, even goes back to, like, the missing 411 cases where people mysteriously disappear in the woods.
Like,
obviously,
they kidnap hikers and, like, sacrifice them to these things.
I don't know about sacrificing.
Or, like, tie them to a tree and say, leave me alone.
It's hard to really even, like, speculate what it is because I feel like it's kind of Lovecraftian where it's beyond our grasp. It's something that we cannot understand. Like, maybe they're entities from another planet, like, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting to me, though.
Do you believe that if you give something a name, it gives it power?
In a certain sense, yes.
I mean, isn't that, like, the reason why we name our children from birth?
I guess, yeah. But I don't know. It's more of, like, I don't know about power, but more of like an identity.
Yeah.
And I don't know if necessarily giving it an identity means giving it power.
Yeah, but it also gives it like a right to exist.
Yeah, in your head.
Yeah.
In your own head, because your name for it gives it power in your head, and their name for it, because it might not be the same name. You could give something else a different name, but
like I said, it is super cosmic. It's a rough thing to grasp, but I do believe that. I mean, it's the same reason why, like, you have to know the demon's name in order to exorcise it, type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For those who ignore the voices or simply refuse to answer, many claim the experience doesn't end there. Instead, they become aware of something else. It often begins with the unmistakable sound of footsteps, heavy and measured, just beyond the edge of sight. Every step you take through the leaves is answered by another, somewhere off to your side. You stop. A moment later, the footsteps stop too. You call out. Nothing. You convince yourself it was a deer, a black bear, another hiker. Then you begin to walk again, and so do the footsteps. Always keeping pace, always just beyond where your eyes can focus. Stories like these have circulated through the Appalachian Mountains for generations, but remarkably similar accounts also appeared among the lumber camps of the American Midwest during the 19th century. Many men among these camps spent their entire lives navigating dense forests, often described an overwhelming sensation that they were being stalked by something they could never quite see. Whatever it was, it never seemed to stand in the open. Loggers began calling it the Hidebehind. According to their accounts, the creature possessed an almost impossible ability. No matter how quickly someone turned around to look at them, the Hidebehind has already moved. Witnesses claimed it could pivot around the trunk of a tree with supernatural speed. keeping itself perfectly concealed from the victim's line of sight. Thick oak, towering pine, or even slender saplings, it didn't seem to matter. Somewhere there was just enough room for cover. You never saw it, only the overwhelming certainty that something was watching. Descriptions of the creature varied, but many agreed on one detail. It was unnaturally tall. Its body was impossibly thin, almost skeletal, as though it has been stretched. Long limbs, narrow shoulders, and movements that seemed too fluid to belong to any known animal. And while few claimed they had looked directly at it, many insisted they heard it. Not a growl, a laugh, low and quiet, almost human. As if whatever was hiding behind the tree found your fear amusing. Of course, there was one rather curious detail that became a part of the legend. Old lumberjacks claimed that the Hidebehind absolutely despised the smell of alcohol. Whiskey, moonshine, anything with a strong enough scent was said to keep the creature at bay. Conveniently, this belief also gave generations of exhausted loggers a perfectly acceptable excuse to end each day's work with a drink or two. Whether that tradition was born from genuine belief or simply a convenient story to justify a nightly bottle is impossible to know, but it reveals something important. The people telling these stories weren't trying to prove monsters existed. They were trying to explain a feeling, that instinctive sensation every person has experienced at least once. The feeling of something just beyond the field of your vision, watching. And if the Hidebehind represents the fear of something you can never quite see, our next encounter is perhaps even more unsettling because this time you can see it. At least, you think you can. So what do you think came first? You drank because you've seen things? Or you drank and then you've seen things?
Or you see things because you're drinking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like depending on how much you drink has quite a big factor in that. And if they were using it as an excuse, then maybe it was like a preventative measure at that point. Like, I'm going to drink just in case that it's close by and then it won't bother me.
Isn't that what folklore is? You know, It's like that idea that if you do these things, it'll keep it at bay, it'll keep it away. You won't see it, you won't hear it.
That's what I'm saying. Like with the sacrifice in the Bible.
Girl, you see sacrifices.
Just saying. It keeps it at bay. No,
keeps
but
the White Walkers at bay.
But I know. I hate that feeling though. Like I know exactly what they're talking about. Not being in the Appalachian Mountains, but just like in your house. Like if you feel something watched. Like right behind you or like something watching you like out of the corner of your eye and like it's never there. Nothing's ever there, but you feel it. And
do you feel that often in your house?
No.
Okay.
No, but just in general, like there's sometimes
I'm like, girl, do I have to like watch my back? I don't know what's happening.
No. Maybe once or twice. But it is. It's just me. Like it's nothing like I felt like in my house, but I don't know.
I often feel that at night too.
Yeah.
When you're just like unsettled.
Yeah. And I'm like, shit, I don't want to go through this like whole dark hallway and I'm like, oh, just turn on every light just in case.
Like when people turn on the light, turn off the light really quick and run up the stairs.
Yeah, but even that's starting to freak me out. You ever see that movie where it's like just comes with the light? Like and then
out.
It's like yes. Oh my god, that movie scared the shit out of me.
So I would just leave the lights on all the time.
But that's the feeling though. Like just like in that movie, it's like
the second you turn your lights out.
Yes, and you can't see it, and it's oh god, that's like the worst feeling in the whole world.
I know, I'm scared. Isn't it like wild that even if like you're not in some like spooky forest, like we just went camping a couple weeks ago, no matter what, no matter how happy you are, no matter like what's going on, if you look long enough into the trees, you will see movement.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if it's like bats or a squirrel running up the tree or anything, but like it's almost like a mirage, like that feeling that you get like when you look through the sun and you see like the hot pavement like reflecting it. It's maybe it is a mirage or what your eyes do after dark,
or just like the amount of stuff it's trying to focus on, and it's just like, oh, did I see something there? And you know, just as much as your eyes shift around, there's so many things. Yeah. Doing
the script for this, you know, I was like looking up videos of these things, and a lot of creators like they have these videos in the woods, and you know, I'm staring super intently at it. I'm like, what am I looking for? Like I'm not seeing anything, but like the trees just look like they're alive.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what it is. The wind just like moving through the trees and like the subtle movements.
Yep.
I don't know.
Tolkien knew. He had his
with
trees
the trees
were
walking.
alive. Yes. Yep.
I'm always trying to rationalize things.
Yeah.
Or come up with a logical explanation.
I know, but that's why this stuff is so crazy to me. Like all the Wendigo and the stuff that's in the woods like that and the folklore. And it's just so...
I didn't actually do the Wendigo for this one.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. No, but
it's very popular, and I feel like everybody knows the folklore of it. So I was trying to find like really weird or obscure ones, or I don't know, just strange ones that not everybody talks about, like on the internet or whatever. Everybody knows the Wendigo and the Skinwalker. I didn't know really about
this, but yeah, the Skinwalker and that type of thing. But they're all quite similar.
Yes, they are.
What they are. So.
Well, what we're about to talk about now is, I would say, a more popular one, but it is another antler type creature.
Okay.
There's a psychological phenomenon known as the uncanny valley. It's a feeling of unease we experience when something appears almost human, but not quite. A mannequin, a lifelike doll, an artificial face that smiles just a little too long. Our brains are remarkably good at recognizing patterns. We instinctively know what a human face should look like, how someone should walk, how an animal should move. And when something violates those expectations, our minds recognize the danger long before we consciously understand why. Perhaps that's why one of Appalachia's most enduring modern legends isn't some impossible beast, it's a deer, or at least that's what you think you're looking at. Most sightings happen at night, a lonely stretch of highway, the edge of the tree line illuminated by headlights. At first glance, everything appears perfectly ordinary. A white-tailed deer standing motionless near the shoulder of the road. The kind of encounter that's so common across rural America, most drivers barely slow down. But then, they keep looking. And that's when something begins to feel wrong. Witnesses often struggle to explain exactly what disturbed them. Not because the creature looked monstrous, but because it looked almost normal. Its proportions seemed subtly incorrect, its movements unnatural, like someone had recreated a deer entirely from memory, without ever having actually seen one. Some describe legs bending at impossible angles. Others recalled joints that resembled elbows rather than knees. Its body moved in stiff jerking motions as if every step required conscious thought rather than instinct. Then there are the eyes. Unlike ordinary deer, whose eyes sit on the side of its head to watch predators, witnesses often describe the creature's eyes as facing forward, predatory, and watching, not with curiosity, but with intention. One account from the foothills of northern Georgia tells of a driver who slowed for what appeared to be a deer standing in the roadway. As the vehicle approached, the animal slowly rose onto its hind legs, not aggressively, almost casually. It remained there for several seconds before taking an awkward, deliberate step towards the tree line and disappeared into the darkness. The witness later admitted that what disturbed them most wasn't what they had seen, it was how calmly the creature behaved, as though standing upright was completely natural. Today, stories like these have spread far beyond Appalachia through online communities, where the creature has become known simply as not deer. So unoriginal.
Not deer. Hey, there's a not deer.
Like older legends passed down over generations, the not deer is a relatively modern piece of folklore, shaped through the internet forums, podcasts, and first-hand accounts shared between strangers. Yet despite that, the descriptions remain remarkably consistent. An animal that looks almost right, moves almost naturally, exists just close enough to reality that your brain struggles to explain what it's seeing. Whether not deer represents an undiscovered animal, a trick of the darkness, or a psychological misinterpretation, or something even stranger, is impossible to say. But it reinforces the pattern we've already begun to see. The things people fear most rarely look like monsters. They look familiar. Just familiar enough to make you question your own senses. And sometimes, the most dangerous disguise isn't pretending to be an animal. It's pretending to be one of us. So the internet and the way they came up with not deer.
I know, so original. Easy to, that's a not deer.
And it's not a deer.
It's not.
It's not deer.
So that's what we're going to call it. Not a deer. No, but seriously though, that is so freaky. If I ever saw something and I was driving down the road and I saw that coming up to the corner of the road at me, I don't know what I would do.
Probably shit your pants.
I really don't. That's probably one of my biggest fears driving at night is just like something like that, like appearing out of the dark at me.
There's so many like videos online of people like driving through forests and something strange will run in front of their car. I was watching, I think it was called Caught on Camera. It was on Max, and I was just watching it last night while I was writing. And there was this video, and it was of a cop with their dash cam. They're just riding down like a winding street in this like black mass. One's like, and it's clear as day.
Stop.
And it's spooky. And the people like what they're trying to do in this TV show is they're trying to like break down the science behind what's happening. And they did debunk quite a bit of them.
Okay.
But this one, they tried to say it was a bear, like a black bear. And it was standing bipedal, which black bears do sometimes. Yeah. But a lot of times their steps are like super slow or they're jerky. This thing like ran like a human.
Oh, okay. Then there's no way. There's no way.
It was freaky footage.
That is always so freaky. Even in just any movie where there's just like someone in the middle of the road and they almost hit them and then it causes you to like slam on your brakes and spin around and Like those are probably like some of the scariest parts in those movies because it's so realistic. Like that could happen.
We're extremely vulnerable in our cars.
Yes.
Let's go back to the last case we just did. Like you were in a moving weapon.
Yes.
Like
I
don't know.
Yeah, and just going at those speeds, but you like because you're going at such a speed, you don't know sometimes what you're seeing because it's so quick. So just I don't know. That's so freaky.
And
if it was like a deer human just staring at you, all calm and just oh my god, thank you.
Just stands up and walks into the forest. I don't know. I would have been like, man, that deer had a hell of a night. I don't know.
Oh, that would freak me.
It reminds me of like The Ring 2, specifically The Ring 2, and then there's this movie called A Cure for Wellness.
Okay.
And it's actually the same director, and he always has like these scenes where like deer attack the car, or like
or not deer attack the car.
Yeah, because these deer in these movies are like they have like this human sentience to them.
That's gotta be, maybe he's trying to bring out the not deers.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what it made me think of when I read this story.
Yeah.
But you think about when you're driving down the road and how you get from point A to point B and you don't even remember the drive.
Yeah.
So
I would remember it if that happened to me though.
I think I would too. If stories like Not Deer teach us anything, it's that appearances can be deceiving. Sometimes what stands before you isn't what it seems. But occasionally, the most unsettling legends don't begin with something inhuman at all. They begin with us. Unlike the creatures we've discussed so far, this next story isn't rooted in ancient folklore or whispered warnings passed down for centuries. Instead, it begins with a crime. One so violent that local legend insists it refused to stay buried. Travel into the hills of eastern Tennessee, particularly along the Tennessee-Kentucky border, and sooner or later you'll hear the name Old Skin Tom. Like many places of regional folklore, separating historical fact from embellishment is nearly impossible. There are countless variations of the tale, each told a little differently depending on who you ask, but they all begin the same way, with a man named Tom. By most accounts, Tom was handsome, charismatic, the kind of man who would talk his way into or out of almost anything. Unfortunately, he had a reputation for pursuing women who were already married. Eventually, that reputation caught up with him. One story tells of Tom beginning an affair with a married woman named Eleanor. Under the cover of darkness, the two arranged to meet at a secluded lover's lane deep in the Tennessee woods, believing the isolation would keep their secret safe. It didn't. Eleanor's husband had grown suspicious. That night, he followed them. What happened next has been retold around campfires for generations. Blinded by rage, the husband ambushed the couple, dragging Tom from the vehicle before attacking him with a large hunting knife. The violence that followed is described with almost mythic brutality. According to the legend, Tom wasn't simply murdered, he was skinned alive. When authorities eventually searched the area, they reportedly found an old blood-soaked trail disappearing into the surrounding forest and a pile of discarded human skin, but no body. No Tom. Whether any part of the account actually happened has been long debated, but the legend insists the story didn't end in those woods. It began there. Locals say something still wanders those back roads after sunset. Not a ghost clothed in white, not a transparent apparition drifting through the trees, but a figure stripped of every inch of skin, raw muscle, exposed tendon, gleaming white bones catching what little moonlight filters through the forest canopy. Witnesses claim he carries the very knife that ended his life, dragging its blade along gravel roads or scraping it across metal panels of parked cars. Long before anyone sees him, they hear him, a slow, grating, metallic screeching echoing through the darkness. Unlike many legends, Old Skin Tom isn't said to attack indiscriminately. According to the folklore, he reserves his vengeance for those who betray the people that they claim to love. Adulterers, cheaters, the unfaithful. There's a cruel irony to that belief. A man remembered for destroying someone else's marriage, forever condemned to punish those who repeat his mistakes. Whether that says more about Tom or the people who created the legend, it's difficult to know. But his story introduces another idea that appears again and again throughout folklore: the belief that something can lose its humanity without ever truly losing its human form. And that idea doesn't end in the mountains of Tennessee. Moving several hundred miles southeast into the marshes and sea islands of South Carolina and Georgia, and you'll find another legend, one that doesn't lose its skin, it steals someone else's. I love the story of Old Skin Tom.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Like,
I like it too, though. Like, I like it because it's a real story behind it.
yes. Well, allegedly. I don't know. There's no. It's like,
it's not a mythic type of story. Like, it's a factual type of story.
It's based on something that could realistically happen,
yes,
you know, a vengeful husband murdering the man who,
That's why I like it.
It is a very classical folk tale, you know, it's like that folk tale that
like the Pigman Road. It's the same type of thing. Like, it's like a realistic type of
But what is
reason.
the moral to Pigman Road? I really don't know it. Whereas,
don't pick on people that are different from you.
Okay, I could feel that. It's like the old, like, Aesop's fables where they told stories, like, to give you, like, a moral code or a moral compass. It's the classic tale of, like, don't cheat on your wife, you know, or this'll happen, or you'll walk eternity freaking as a ghost, like, hunting people. I don't know. I love it.
I love it too. I love it too because there's a reason for it, and I'm a very, like, I'm a why person. Like, I have to know the why, and I have to have it, like, wrapped up in, like, a pretty little bow for me. I don't like using my imagination to, like, figure things out. Like, I wanted you to tell me, and it does.
Not on that page. I like a little more, like, ethereal thought or deep thinking in terms of, like, my horror. But Tom's a badass, and he's so cool that there's actually, like, a folk song about Old Skin Tom.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah.
And believe it or not, it's actually taught to children.
Okay. How does it go? Can you sing it?
No.
Oh.
Have you seen the ghost of Tom? Long white bones with the skin all gone. Oh, Tom, wouldn't it be chilly with no skin on?
But yeah, so it, like, birthed this, like, folk song that people sing around campfires, and funnily enough, they actually teach it to children. I don't know if it's, like, the scaling or something, but it's funny that they sing this song to children because we just watched that movie Undertone.
Yes.
And it goes back to, like, every nursery rhyme being, like, some brutality. Like horrible things.
Oh, my Baba Black Sheep or whatever.
I still don't know what they were trying to explain about the folk tale of Baba Black Sheep. Do you know?
Wasn't black wool, like, a bad thing? But he only had black wool, and he was, like, the shunned kind of
Okay,
Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah,
like
that makes
the black
sense.
wool was the bad.
Yeah, that's why I'm called the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, black sheep is like the bad.
Yeah.
And white was the good. That's fucked up. That's racist as fuck.
That's fucked up.
That's fucked up. Now that I say it out loud, that's fucked up.
Well,
Super
I prefer
valuable.
the black wool, so...
Me too.
Yeah. The idea of something wearing a human face isn't unique to Appalachia. Across the American South, separated by hundreds of miles and entirely different histories, another community developed its own explanation for entities that walk among us unnoticed. To understand that legend, we first have to understand the people who told it. Along the coastal marshes and sea islands of South Carolina and Georgia lives one of America's most unique cultural communities, the Gullah Geechee people. The history begins during the transatlantic slave trade, when enslavers deliberately brought men and women from the rice coast of West Africa to the American Southwest. They possessed generations of knowledge about cultivating rice, a crop that would soon become one of the region's greatest sources of wealth. The marshlands proved deadly for many Europeans. Malaria and yellow fever swept through the coastal plantations with devastating consequences. Plantation owners often abandoned the island during the hottest months, leaving the enslaved communities isolated from the mainland for long periods of time. Out of unimaginable hardship, something remarkably endured: language, traditions, and stories. Spiritual beliefs carried across the Atlantic and preserved for generations. Within Gullah Geechee tradition, the world is inhabited by more than the living alone. It's shared with spirits, some protective, some ancestral, and others are something far more dangerous. Among the most feared is an entity simply known as the Boo Hag. Unlike a ghost, the Boo Hag has never thought to be transparent or ethereal. According to tradition, a Boo Hag begins as a person consumed by hatred, cruelty, jealousy, and witchcraft. When they die, their soul is denied peace. What remains is something trapped between worlds. Its skin decays, its flesh falls away, until all that is left is a raw crimson figure of exposed muscle, a creature with no skin and no humanity. But unlike Old Skin Tom, whose appearance reveals exactly what he has become, the Boo Hag is almost never seen in its true form, because it has learned to hide. According to Gullah Geechee tradition, the Boo Hag steals the skin from the living. It slips inside another person's skin as easily as someone pulling on a coat. By day, it smiles, it laughs, and it greets its neighbors. It shops in town. It appears so completely normal that no one questions it. Then, night falls. Hidden away in an attic or an abandoned structure, or somewhere deep within the surrounding woods, the creature carefully peels away its stolen skin. What emerges beneath is something entirely different. A glistening, skinless figure illuminated by moonlight, patient and hungry, searching for its next victim. Unlike the creatures we've discussed so far, the Boo Hag doesn't hunt people wandering lonely roads or forgotten forests. It comes to you. According to the legend, no locked door can keep it out. No window is too small. It slips through keyholes, tiny cracks beneath the floorboards, open windows left unattended during warm summer nights. Once inside, it waits, not for someone to wake, but for someone to fall asleep. Victims described awaking suddenly, completely aware of their surroundings, yet unable to move, unable to scream, unable to even draw a full breath. As panic takes hold, they become aware of the figure perched upon their chest, watching. The Gullah Geechee call this experience being hag-ridden. The Boo Hag is said to press its weight against the sleeper, slowly draining away their breath, their strength, and their very life force. Night after night it returns, each visit leaving the victim weaker than before, exhausted, unable to explain why they wake each morning feeling as though they never slept at all. Today, the science has a name for experiences like these: sleep paralysis. But long before medicine attempted to explain it, cultures around the world already had their own answers. And one shadow in particular appears with remarkable consistency.
That is probably the most believable one out of everything, because sleep paralysis is very real. I mean, I genuinely don't think it's a Boo Hag.
No?
But there's definitely, I feel like because you're in that conscious and unconscious state at the same time, so it's really hard to decipher between the two because you're literally half asleep and awake at the same time, but you can't move because your brain hasn't caught up with your body, or your body hasn't caught up with your brain yet, or vice versa.
But it's just strange that an entire community of people like have this experience and they come up with a name, and this is like an elaborate story. Like,
yeah, oh yeah,
they've created this figure out of thin air, out of just like an experience they had while they were sleeping. Gave it a whole lore.
Multiple people having the same experience in the same community type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, these people, like, they call it a Boo Hag. Like, that's what that experience is. I think if you were to go down to like South Carolina now and you would ask the Gullah Geechee people, and they do exist there still to this day. I mean, they have deep roots. I mean, a way of cooking, a way of talking. Well,
I almost question if it was when this all started, if there was some sort of like a medical thing happening at that point.
We can get into like my thoughts on sleep paralysis because we have another segment coming up that's deeper involved in it. For centuries, the Gullah Geechee believed the Boo Hag was responsible for these terrifying nighttime encounters. Today, medicine offers another explanation. Doctors call it sleep paralysis. It's a documented neurological phenomenon that occurs when the brain wakes before the body has fully emerged from REM sleep. During REM sleep, your body temporarily paralyzes itself, a built-in safety mechanism that prevents you from physically acting out your dreams. Occasionally, that system malfunctions. Your mind wakes first, your body doesn't. The result is an experience so vivid that countless people become convinced they have encountered something supernatural. You can open your eyes, you recognize your bedroom, you know you're awake, but your arms won't move. Your legs refuse to respond. You try to scream, but nothing comes out. Even breathing feels different. Your diaphragm continues working automatically, but the muscles that allow you to take a deep breath remain temporarily frozen. To someone experiencing this for the first time, it feels as though an enormous weight has settled across your chest. Then comes perhaps the most unsettling symptom of all, an overwhelming certainty that someone else is in the room. Neurologists believe this sensation is the brain's threat detection system attempting to explain an impossible situation. You're awake, you're vulnerable and unable to move. The brain desperately searches for reason. Sometimes it invents one. But here's where things become difficult to explain. Across different countries, different religions, and different centuries, people experiencing sleep paralysis often describe seeing one remarkably similar figure, a woman standing in the doorway, a pale old hag climbing onto the bed, a dark silhouette watching you silently from the corner of your room. Each culture gave the visitor a different name, yet one description appears again and again. A tall man, completely black, his features obscured by shadow, standing perfectly still, wearing a wide-brimmed hat. He doesn't speak, he rarely moves, he simply watches. Today, people know him as the Hat Man. Unlike the Boo Hag, whose roots stretch deep into the Gullah Geechee tradition, the Hat Man isn't confined to one culture or religion. Reports have resurfaced from nearly every corner of the world, different languages, different beliefs, and different generations. Yet witnesses often describe the same impossible figure with unsettling consistency. Some paranormal investigators believe the Hat Man is a non-human entity that feeds on fear itself. Others believe he is a demonic presence drawn to homes filled with grief, addiction, violence, and despair. In some religious traditions, he has even been compared to the devil, who was often depicted throughout the early American and European folklore as a traveler dressed in dark clothing and a broad-brimmed hat, wandering lonely roads after sunset. Science, of course, remains unconvinced. Researchers continue to point towards sleep paralysis, stress, trauma, and the extraordinary ability for the human brain to create vivid hallucinations while caught between dreaming and waking. But in recent years, a new chapter has added to the legend, one that no one expected, because people weren't just reporting encounters during sleep anymore, they were seeing him wide awake. In the late 2010s, emergency rooms across the United States began treating teenagers intentionally overdosing on large quantities of the antihistamine Benadryl as part of some dangerous internet trend. Many survived, and when they compared their experiences online, thousands described seeing the same silent figure, standing just outside the room, watching, waiting, always wearing a hat.
That's so weird. I can't say sleep paralysis, that's never happened to me before, but as many people as it seems like that have said about the same figure is just absolutely like mind-blowing.
Isn't that wild?
That is insane.
So I have had sleep paralysis, and it's not, I've only had it once, and it isn't a super common occurrence that I had, but when I have had it, it was like during an extremely like stressful time in my life.
Okay.
I had moved to another state. I was in an abusive relationship. I had experienced it when we got into an argument and I slept in a separate room from him, and I just put a blanket on the floor and I laid down and I started falling asleep. And I recall falling asleep, but I woke up. I couldn't move. I was screaming his name, but the words were not coming out.
And you were awake.
And I was awake. And I felt like the compression of like footsteps walking around my body because I was sleeping on the floor.
Stop.
Yes. I don't know what happened or if the thing left the room, but like I was finally able to get up, and I jumped up and I ran into the other room and I just bawled my eyes out because it was an extremely terrifying experience. And there's people who have sleep paralysis like nightly.
Oh my God. That's why I was like, I can't say I've ever had that, but that is fucking terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Just terrifying.
It is.
The fact that you're awake, but you can't do anything. That is what, oh my gosh.
I don't know if it's like your body just like being in an extremely vulnerable state, like, you know, and you can't move, you can't breathe. And then it like conjures up like something terrifying because you're experiencing something scary.
Yeah, maybe. But it's just like enhancing it and making it worse. I don't know.
Are all these people across the board seeing the same exact entity? And I've never seen the Hat Man, but like,
no. I've had dreams though where like I was asleep and like tried to scream out or cry out for somebody and nothing would come out, but I wasn't awake.
I had those too.
Yeah, but I wasn't awake. Like it was in my dream, and then you finally wake up and you're like, oh, it was a dream. Like, oh, thank God I can talk. Like,
have you ever had that dream where, let's say, you get into an altercation or you're being attacked and you try to fight back and your arms are like limp noodles, like every punch you make just doesn't land?
Yes. So that's the only way I feel like I can relate to this, but I feel like that's terrifying.
That's a completely different phenomenon.
But it's not.
And sleep is strange.
Yeah. Like, I know. I was
the dream state and lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
And
I was just talking to like my boyfriend and my daughter about how I dream all the time. Like I have dreams like at least once a week probably. And my boyfriend, he's like, I've never even like had a dream. He's like,
never had a dream,
but none that he can remember. And like I can remember them like all the time. And I wake up and I tell him, I'm like, oh, I had a dream about this last night. And it's like the weirdest thing. Not really, because they don't make sense.
Yeah.
It's like they of course make sense in my dreams, but I have the weirdest dreams.
Our brains do really crazy things. Looking into sleep it makes you really wonder like what is going on like the other side that we don't know what we're seeing. Like look at the films like Insidious.
Yeah.
Like is it something like that? Like there's like a sleep realm that
Yeah. But that's a different kind of entity, but this one it's very scary. They did have this in The Conjuring.
Oh, you're talking about Conjuring 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Crooked Man.
Yes, the Crooked Man. Yes, that's what this reminds me of. Not necessarily the sleep paralysis thing, but like the demon itself.
It's a demon,
yes, yeah. Or not a demon, but entity, whatever.
Yeah. They never
we don't
really
know what
dove into what the Crooked Man actually was. It reminds me more of the Babadook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the way it's kind of described.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is very much related. Obviously, it's just for sleep paralysis, really, but that one was just there to be there.
So like I said, I've never seen the Hat Man, and I mean, you know this about me, but like I take Benadryl every single night to fall asleep. And I'm just an allergic bitch. I'm allergic to everything. But I take it every single night to sleep. And I have accidentally like double dosed myself. And I've still never experienced it. I don't know how much Benadryl these kids are taking. And we probably shouldn't even disclose that these people are taking Benadryl. But just don't abuse it, please.
Yeah, don't abuse it.
Don't try to see the Hat Man.
Yeah, you can very easily overdose on something like that. And that's, I mean, absolutely can cause hallucinations and things like that. Wow.
I wonder if maybe like I never really like tracked it, but are those the nights that I have had extremely vivid dreams? Like when I have double dosed myself? I don't know.
Keep an eye. Now you'll watch.
Oh, I watch after I learned that Benadryl can bring the Hat Man to you. I watch strictly how much Benadryl I am taking.
Yeah.
Like if I feel like I already took it, I'm not taking it that night, and I'll stay up all night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Anything to keep away from the Hat
I
Man.
don't want the Hat Man. Whether the Hat Man is a neurological phenomenon, a shared hallucination, or something far more difficult to explain, one detail appears throughout countless encounters. He watches. He doesn't chase. He doesn't speak. He simply waits. That idea of something waiting for permission is hardly new. Throughout history, cultures around the world have believed that the home represents a shelter. It's a boundary, a threshold separating the safety of the known world from whatever exists beyond it. Perhaps that's why so many legends insist that certain entities simply cannot cross that line. Vampires must be invited inside. Some spirits require permission before entering the home. Even witches, according to various European traditions, could be kept at bay by rituals performed at the doorway. Whether these beliefs developed as religious symbolism or a way of teaching caution towards strangers, they appear again and again across folklore. And then, in the late 20th century, a modern legend emerged that seemed to follow those ancient rules, not in a forgotten village, not in the depths of some isolated forest, but in shopping centers, parking lots, and quiet suburban neighborhoods. Witnesses almost always describe the encounter the same way. It begins with children, usually 2 of them, standing alone, perfectly still. At first glance, they appear completely ordinary. Maybe they're wearing hooded sweatshirts. Maybe they're dressed in clothing that seems oddly outdated. Nothing about them immediately screams danger, until they speak. Their voices are strangely flat, emotionless, almost rehearsed. They ask for something remarkably simple, a ride home, to use your phone, to come inside your residence. And almost every witness describes the exact same feeling, an overwhelming, instinctive sense of dread. Not fear born from anything the children have done, but the unmistakable feeling that something is profoundly wrong. Journalist Brian Bethel described experiencing that exact feeling one evening in Abilene, Texas, while sitting in his car outside of a movie theater. 2 boys approached his driver's side window asking for a ride so they could get money from their mother to see a movie. The request seemed innocent enough, but as Bethel listened, small details stopped making sense. The movie they wanted to watch had already started. The boys never made direct eye contact. And despite their calm voices, his body was screaming at him to leave. Then, he looked into their faces. Their eyes contained no whites, no irises, no pupils, only solid, featureless black. According to Bethel's account, the boys became increasingly insistent, repeatedly asking to be let inside the vehicle. Only after refusing and driving away did he realize something else. For all their persistence, they never attempted to force the door open. They only asked. Since that encounter was published, hundreds of remarkably similar reports have appeared from around the world. Different witnesses, different countries, different decades. Yet the details remain surprisingly consistent. 2 children, black eyes, an overwhelming feeling of dread, and one repeated request: let us in. Unlike many urban legend, black-eyed children rarely threaten their victims. They don't scream, they don't chase, and they don't attack. Instead, they rely on something far more powerful: human compassion. They appear vulnerable, lost, cold, frightened. They exploit the instinct that tells us to protect children. And perhaps that's what makes this legend so unsettling, because in every story we've explored tonight shares a single lesson. It isn't fear of the unknown. It's to trust the feeling that tells you that something isn't right. Have you heard of black-eyed children?
I have not.
Yeah.
This one is absolutely new to me, and it is definitely the most frightening.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, out of all of them.
Yes, because I would fall prey to that, and that scares me.
Yeah, right, because we want to
Yes.
help children. It's
Yes.
like the same thing with like the them,
Yeah.
as we're hearing the voices of children and like we want to help them.
Yes.
You know? We want to know what's going on.
Of course. And that's crazy, because just the way that it would exploit human compassion for children, because we all really do have that instinct, and if you're not a piece of shit,
I was going to say,
to
I mean,
help children.
it's questionable amongst Hollywood if they have compassion for children, but
yes,
you know.
but a natural normal human instinct would be to be compassionate for a child, regardless if they were yours or not.
Yeah.
But the black eyes, and I guess my biggest question with all of these is, like you said before, like, what do they want? What do they want? If they did get inside that car, what happens?
So the explanation that I've read online is, so they're saying that they're human alien hybrids, like when abductees have had children and they birth these children, they want to send them out into the world as like a can they pass type thing? Can they walk amongst humans?
Okay.
And they're never doing it just right. You know, there's always something wrong.
Yes.
There was another story about black-eyed children where these children knocked on the door of a husband and a wife, and it was like the dead of winter. They watched like these footsteps walk up to the door, but when they looked out the window, they didn't see anybody until they opened the door and they seen these children. And they were wearing like outdated clothing, and they asked to use their phone so that they could contact their parents. This case was the only case where they actually let the children inside the house. So they opened the door to them.
Yeah.
And they said yes. And within that time, the wife went into the kitchen to make the kids some hot chocolate because it was cold outside. And the husband remained in the room with them, but he clearly was extremely unsettled by these children.
Yeah.
And when the wife returned, they asked if they could use the bathroom. So she took them to the bathroom. And when she returned and walked back, she seen her husband, and he was sitting there with his blood pouring out of his nose.
Stop.
The children walked out of the bathroom door, and they're like, our parents are here. And I guess they walked outside and got into the back of this like black vehicle, and it's believed that their parents were the men in black. Yeah. This lore is crazy.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you could just make up any freaking story ever. Like, I get that. It's just,
this is probably
so
the
strange.
second story along with Brian Bethel's account that people talk about.
The black-eyed
children.
Yeah.
The end of this story, though, is even wilder because apparently the husband was like diagnosed with like an extremely aggressive form of cancer.
Like
And
all of a sudden.
yeah, like after this encounter.
Okay, so they are trying to harm in some way if you let them into.
I don't know if maybe they're trying to harm or they just do harm because of what they are.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you don't
Like,
know if it's intentional.
If they're like
or
an
not.
alien species or something and they just like irradiate uranium or some shit and they just, you know.
Yeah, but they're purposefully, it seems, trying to get approval to be in these people's spaces.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it seems intentional.
Yeah.
In that way.
Maybe they're just trying to pass. I don't know. They're trying to pass as humans.
I don't know.
But they're not quite right.
Yeah, very strange either way.
That one was the one that spooked you the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because now I'm going to be looking for black-eyed fucking
You're
good
gonna like
everywhere,
continue
man.
to like look at people's eyes every time they talk to you.
Like, take your hood down. I want to see your eyes.
It like goes back to like there is something kind of creepy about children. Like you've told me stories about you would like wake up in the middle of the night and your kid would be standing
She would
like
be staring at me
you
when I'm sleeping.
Yeah,
Yes.
super creepy.
Not even to freak me out. Just like she was scared and wanted to come. in the
Yeah,
room
like
to see-
mommy.
Yes, yeah, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, that
Like
one-
you don't realize how creepy they are. Like kids don't realize that.
they're cute, but they're creepy shits. That one definitely, like the black-eyed children didn't get me. I've known about it for quite some time. The only ones that were new to me that I've researched for this is them and the Boo Hag.
Okay.
The one that scares me the most is the Hat Man.
The Hat Man?
Yeah. And I don't know
Probably because you've had sleep paralysis
Yeah,
before
maybe.
and you're terrified to probably have it again because what if you see this thing?
No, if I see that shit, I'm done. I'll never sleep again.
You're like, I'm not going to be a skeptic
I'll be
anymore.
like in friggin' Nightmare on Elm Street 3 where she's like eating spoonfuls of like instant coffee.
Oh my gosh.
But have you ever seen the movie The Nightmare? It was like that documentary on sleep paralysis.
I have seen things on sleep paralysis.
I think I've told you to watch it like a really long time ago, and
I might have.
it was one documentary, which, you know, it was a horrific documentary, but it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Because you
It
have
is
to
a
sleep.
terrifying thing. You have to sleep. Yes, you have to,
You
or you
cannot
just
escape
go
it.
insane. You'll go insane.
It's really cool though that like the internet takes these folklore tales and like spins them for a modern audience. It's like the folk tales are continuing to live on through generation and generation, like these tales that were told around campfires by our ancestors, and now they're just manipulated for a modern audience. It's kind of cool to me.
It is cool because people don't want to let these things die because it's so interesting to people and it grabs your attention, and it's always the what ifs because you don't know, and
We don't know.
very much interests people.
Yeah,
For
I mean,
sure.
it interests me for sure.
Yeah.
And apparently you.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I think everybody's interested in the macabre in some way, shape, or form.
For as long as human beings have gathered around fires, we've been told stories about the things that wait just beyond the light. Different cultures gave them different names. Whether these stories were born from genuine encounters, psychological phenomenon, religious beliefs, or simply humanity's attempt to explain what we couldn't understand, they all point towards the same fear. Not the fear of monsters, the fear of deception, because the greatest dangers are rarely the ones that we recognize immediately. They taught our ancestors to trust something we've slowly learned to ignore: instinct. That quiet voice in the back of your mind that tells you something isn't right. Modern psychology calls it a pattern recognition. Our ancestors simply called it survival. So, the next time you're walking through unfamiliar woods, the next time you wake in the middle of the night convinced you are not alone, or the next time someone or something asks you for your trust before it's earned, listen to that feeling. You may never know what you just avoided.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. That was today's episode. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, you can support the show by following, rating, and sharing the podcast wherever you're listening. It genuinely helps more people discover the stories that we uncover here. If you have a local legend, unexplained encounter, or historical mystery you'd like to see investigated in a future episode, you can reach out through our social media pages and submit your shadow sessions in the form listed in our bio. Don't forget, we always do a small business feature every week, and that form is in our bio as well. And thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.